Last night, Patrick Dorgu made his highly anticipated Manchester United debut. Our left wing-back saviour is finally here. Except, he played on the right-hand side, which was rather interesting. Let's break down what he did. So obviously, the first question is, why was he actually playing on the right-hand side? We've been talking about bringing in this left-footed player to play on the left to give us some width, but Ruben Amorim put him straight into the team on the right. Why did he do this? Well, there's a few options, there's a few reasons here. It could be because we know that Ruben Amorim favours the weak-footed wing-back. He likes a left footer on the right and a right footer on the left. We discussed this the other day. It could also simply be that Dorgu has played a lot of football on the right wing for Lecce this season, and Amorim wanted to sort of ease him into the team. He hasn't had much training time, so put him in a position that he has been playing so far this season. And obviously there is also just a chance that Amorim genuinely feels this is Patrick Dorgu's best position. This may be the role that he was signed for. And we did do a video the other week looking at actually how he could play on the right hand side for Manchester United. There are certainly a few different options, and I think what we saw in this game was, of course, in moments a slightly nervous performance like Amorim spoke about. It's natural with a new player playing at Old Trafford for the first time. But I think in general we saw some glimpses of potentially some of the benefits of playing on the right hand side, but also some of the issues where he isn't quite as natural playing on this side of the pitch. So we're going to look at a few different things that he was doing in this game, and the first thing I want to look at was his retention work. We know that there is a big emphasis on the Manchester United wing-backs. We've been speaking about this during the week, where United get in this shape where you cycle the ball around the back quite a lot. So it's really important when you play that ball into the wing-back that they can make the ball stick, particularly against his Leicester side, who were sort of trying to use this pressing trigger here to squeeze over to one side of the pitch. It was important for both Dorgu and Dalot to be good on the ball, to protect the ball, and I think, to be fair, Dorgu did that particularly well, considering he's a young player playing in a new league. Sometimes you can struggle with the physical technique that is needed in higher level competition, but I actually think Dorgu dealt with these situations pretty comfortably. You can see it in moments like this. Yoro was playing a lot of passes to Dorgu in this game. There was a connection going on there. And you can see Dorgu not fully back to goal. He's in a sort of side-on stance just about. But I think he did good work here. Again, Leicester were trying to put him under pressure. Perhaps they were targeting him as a new player, seeing him as a weakness, someone they can get after. But I think in these moments, Dorgu actually used his body really, really well. I was impressed with the way that he positioned himself to protect the football always. There were actually several situations where he was fouled, and we will see a couple of those moments, but also plenty of situations where he could take the safe first touch backwards and move the ball back to Yoro back where it came from. And like I said, this was quite a common theme, Yoro passing the ball to Dorgu. Again, you can see the trigger, Luke Thomas coming from left back for Leicester, trying to put the pressure on, but in these moments, Dorgu used his body well. Now here, Thomas was a little bit late to the press, so Dorgu was actually able to let the ball roll across his body onto his right foot. But again, eventually you could tell it was a little bit safe in moments. You know, again, first game at Old Trafford. So he then takes the touch backwards, and mostly I would say it was about getting his body in the right position. But actually, largely it was rather safe from here. Now, just because it was largely safe from Dorgu, that doesn't mean there is nothing to learn from his performance. There were actually moments in this game where we saw the very reason why Ruben Amorim plays the left footer on the right-hand side. We've all been critical of it in moments, but it's like anything in football. It has its strengths and it also has its weaknesses. One of the strengths is, particularly if the opposition are aggressive and actually overcommit, if you can use your body well here, as you receive the ball, you can then sort of spin inside the pitch like this, and Dorgu can now attack the space, particularly with a player like Ahmad also playing this side, and we know that he can go the other way. It does give United a way of going inside the pitch, and this is something that we struggle with a lot. We often get stuck in wider positions. Having the left footer on the right does allow you to come back inside, and Dorgu did this in moments, not only in the middle third, but actually also a little bit higher up the pitch as well. So when you get into the final third, you're looking to perhaps try and break a team down. Having that player who is able to come back inside the pitch, it opens everything up for you. When you are right-footed here, you are sometimes a little bit restricted because all you can do is go down the line and look to cross into the box. Whereas when you have that left foot, the pitch does sort of open up. As you come back inside, like visually, you can see everything as a player. You can sort of paint a picture, you know where everyone is, and it does give you more options on the ball. And I think in moments, that's something that he did relatively well. You can see it in a position like this, starting really wide and high on the right-hand side, but looking to come inside. He is a left-footed player. He wants to use his left foot, and we can see that here. He positions the ball as though he's going to come inside, and it does open up that pass. You can see here, he can see things. When you are the left foot on the right, it's handy to be able to see things, right? This does open up for him. When you come back inside the pitch, you do see everything. And I think some of the combination work with Ahmad was actually quite promising. Here it's a sort of give and go. He plays the ball inside to Ahmad and then makes the run off the ball, and the opposition actually just resort to fouling him. But we also saw this in deeper positions as well, similar sort of work. Of course, we've seen this position a few times now, Yoro playing the ball down the line to Dorgu. On this occasion, it's much more about getting his back to goal, but I think he uses his body really well here. He sort of draws in the Leicester defender. He gets the defender exactly where he wants him. And then, because he's left-footed, he does have that ability to spin inside the pitch, to move inside into areas like this. I think the movement from Ahmad is then good. Ahmad goes in behind. This is what we were just talking about. But unfortunately for Dorgu on this occasion, he sort of takes on one player too many. The touch isn't quite good enough, and he sort of gets crowded out and left in a bit of a heap. But again, I think from a tactical point of view, considering this was a fairly short cameo, again, I think we see something there in why Amorim does like the left footer on the right. Now, just on that topic, there is one more thing that I quickly want to talk about in terms of the positioning of Dorgu playing down this side of the pitch. I think we were expecting a lot of people a wide wing back, but actually there were a lot of moments where he moved inside. There was a couple of instances where he was, I'm not going to call him an inverted wing back, but he was quite narrow. And certainly in the final third, there were positions and moments where he was actually kind of the inside forward and Ahmad was the right wing back. Again, in that video we did the other week, this was something that we very briefly mentioned. Could legitimately be a possibility. He's a very versatile player. In my eyes, he has been signed as a left wing back, but he will give us, you know, an option in a few different positions, and this is one of them. There were moments where he could receive in here. Now, this wasn't particularly common in this game. It wasn't regular. We didn't see a lot of it. But I just think, again, if we're trying to take something from a fairly quiet performance, we're trying to look at in the future how it could impact the team. Again, this gives us a rotation. Mazraoui perhaps wouldn't be as comfortable in these positions, but actually here, receiving as the inside forward, with his back to goal, again, his work was really good, positioning his body well. Again, it's a good safe touch initially to get himself backwards, but I really like this as a still shot. You can see for the Leicester defender, he physically cannot get to that ball without going through Dorgu. So that means Dorgu's either going to keep the ball or he's going to be fouled. Either way, that's win-win for Manchester United. Now again, on this occasion, he doesn't do too much. But again, if we're trying to take something from this match, which, you know, it was a quiet match, it's interesting how Dorgu is used. And I wonder if this is something that we might see more going forward. Amorim has spoken in the past about how he does like a left-footed right wing-back, which is why Ahmad was playing there in moments. But also, he does like the left-footed inside forward, which is why Ahmad has played that role. Perhaps we were wrong all along, and actually, Dorgu is being signed to play here, to play down this side. Now, overall, I'm not sure if I'm a massive fan of that Dorgu on the right side of the pitch. I think he can bring certain things, but I think there are areas where he lacks. However, one thing he certainly does provide, and he showed us last night, is a bit of pace down the right-hand side, a bit of athleticism, a bit of strength, but actually how he can play as a wing-back, a true wing-back. We know that United often get the overload, right, because we attack with a front five, so the spare man's often on the far side. This was something that United were looking to use. It was one of our only real ball progression weapons. We spoke about it in the video this morning. Dorgu has that really nice profile to be the spare man to get onto this ball. When you are searching from the left-hand side, it could be Bruno, it could be Mazraoui, it could be Dalot. Particularly with these all being right-footed players, the pass sort of arcs like that, and it means the ball eventually sort of comes back into the path of Dorgu, and it makes it a little bit easier for him to run onto. There was a couple where Dalot plays a really nice pass. And again, here, the right footer on the left actually makes a lot of sense. It gives us quite a lot. And it allows us to free Dorgu down this side of the pitch. And again, we saw glimpses of that sort of athleticism, the ability to get forward into the final third. Of course, the timing of movement is going to take a bit of time because he's new to the club. He hasn't trained too much. He doesn't know the system. But again, I think this is a promising sign. You can see if we just go back a couple of clips here. When Bruno's playing that ball, Dorgu's technical enough to receive the ball, but also athletic enough to actually be in this space in the first place. We've seen a lot of games recently where United are slow to push the wing-backs forward. Dorgu, you know, wasn't that. He was quick getting into these positions. He wanted to push forward when possible. And again, I think he had some really nice combination moments with Ahmad. Again here, coming inside the pitch into more central positions. And he carries on the run. Ahmad then with the back heel. And Dorgu gets himself actually into a nice area. This is good combo work. It's good to see that link-up play. It doesn't really come to anything, but it's a good sign. But this is what I'm talking about with the weak-footed wing-back. There's a lot of question marks over why did Dalot play on the left and Dorgu on the right. This does show why. Because Dalot here from the left comes inside. He can only play this pass if he's right-footed. And we can see he does exactly that. He plays it with the right foot. This is why Amorim does like the weak-footed wing-back. I'm not going to say he's going to do it all the time. I think it might evolve and change. But at the moment, He does like it. He does like it, and this is why, because it gets a player on the far side spare. Dorgu has so much room to work with here. The only problem on this particular occasion is that actually once he gets into the final third, we then see the negative of the weak-footed wing-back, because once he gets here, he's got to play the ball with the right foot. You know, a more natural right-footed player might try and fizz something in there, or certainly I think they just would have looked more comfortable on the ball, more natural with the cross. So that was perhaps a drawback of this. But what I did like in that aspect was that he was willing to try it. He was willing to try it, and I think that's important in terms of being an unpredictable player. You can see him again on the right-hand side, picking the ball up, but he's willing to go down the line. And I think that's something that United need. Again, the quality on the final delivery was poor. He's not a right-footed player. If he is to play this side of the pitch long-term, though, that is something he will need to keep showing, making himself unpredictable. We all know the troubles we had with Anthony, where he was very left-footed, he wanted to only play in a certain direction. Dorgu showed in this game, you know, it was a fairly quiet performance from him, although I think he played well. But he showed in this game he can be a retention option in deep positions. He showed that he can be progressive centrally by taking the touch inside and moving us forward that way. He showed that he could receive the ball in tight spaces in the middle of the pitch, that he could overlap in the final third, but also in the final third that he could come inside the pitch. So I actually think, despite it actually looking quite quiet from the outside looking in, I think Cameron would have been actually fairly pleased. And I think from a tactical point of view, we were shown how he could be a real weapon for United, because he can play so many different positions, so many different zones of the pitch. I think he showed how actually in the long term, you know, providing we develop him well, we give him the right environment, he could actually be really successful at United, because a player that can play in so many different places is crucial to squad building in the modern game. It is absolutely crucial. So I think all in all, it was a decent debut from Dorgu. Only 45 minutes, which I feel was pre-planned. I don't think he was, you know, hooked at half-time or for playing poorly. I don't think that was the case, and I doubt he had a knock. I do think it was probably pre-planned. But I think he had a good debut, and hopefully there is more to come in the future. In terms of today, though, yeah, we're finished there. That is everything I want to talk about. So thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed this video. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.